Good morning, 6:30 in the morning, time for some muddy waters. Muddy Waters, Rollin and Tumblin. This is a straight field blues with a bit of a twist, as we'll see. The original is in A, it's in the key of A. He's in open G tuning with a capo at the 2nd fret. I'm just going to play an open G without the capo just to make this a bit more accessible for people wanting to learn this. Muddy Waters used a thumb pick, I'm going to use a flat pick. Let's look at the main riff. We're starting open, then up to 3rd fret, then open again, and then focus on the 4th string 3rd fret, and then the open 3rd string. So now he hits extra notes occasionally, there's more stuff going on. Make sure you mute these lower strings. It's okay, I think, to have these open strings ringing up here, or even if the slide catches those, but you want to avoid those lower strings being caught. So the next little bit is where you need to strum a bit more. You're going to be playing 3rd fret again, and then down, and then up. And then you're going to go up, down at the end. So down, down, up, down. So doing that, slide into 3rd fret. So that's the second half of it. So if we put both parts together, you get. Comes in on the and the beat 1, so 3, 4, 1. And it loops around in a continuous sequence, and it does it 3 times in the main riff. So it first comes in on the and of 1, and then it just goes around in a loop. So 3, 4, 1. So notice I'm adding a little bit more vibrato on that first 3rd fret. So Muddy's vibrato is very narrow and fast, so if you can try and emulate that, or use the vibrato that you feel is most appropriate to that. So that's the main riff. There's a variation in the intro where he goes up to the 5th fret and he goes. So it's basically coming in on beat 2 with the 5th fret and then going around the rest of the loop. So 1. So when you've got that main riff down, it's worth practicing that little part as well. And then what we'll do is we'll go back and look at the whole intro in a minute, and start putting all this together. The third piece of the puzzle is what he does under the melody. So when he's singing, he's also playing slide guitar parts. and it varies slightly depending on the vocal line. But let's have a look at the first couple of vocal lines where he does this. The first one, he's playing with the vocals, comes in on the and of 2 in the 2/4 bar that we're going to talk about in a minute. So and of 2, so 1, 2. Then that goes into the main riff. So what we're doing here is we're playing on the 3rd fret, and up to the 5th fret, string 1. That's down, down, up. It's held for the rest of the bar, and then slide up to the 5th fret, down to the 3rd, then open, 3rd fret, and then that kind of slides down around the 2nd and 1st fret. And then goes into the main riff, so. And carries on with the main riff, so. So that's the first vocal part. And the second vocal part is kind of similar. This time we're starting with the open string. So on the and of 2 again. 1, 2. This time he slides down from the 3rd fret. This time open, and then this time he's sliding down from that 3rd fret. And then back into the main riff, so. And carries on. And then the final piece of the puzzle is going to be what he does on the 5 and the 4 chords. So when he goes to the D and the C. So he goes up to the 7th fret, so 3, 4. And then on the C chord, he's going up to the 5th and 3rd frets, and there's a little bit on the 7th fret as well, so he goes 1. That's the first one. So 1. And then up to the 7th fret and then a pull off. So basically kind of wipe the slide off. I'm muting the 6th string here because particularly with the pick, you've got to be quite careful that you're keeping things quiet, and that 6th string, it's not terrible if you hear it, but I just want to keep it clean, so. And then, so he's gone 1. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, so 1. Then he's back into the riff again, so 1. So that whole part from the D chord goes 3, 4. Which is, again, following the melody, especially that second bar on the C, follows the melody beautifully. It really adds a depth to what he's singing. It's fantastic. Okay, a bit more T. Let's check out the intro a bit more fully. So what's going to happen here, we start on the 3rd fret, which is also the same note as the open 1st string. So I'm going to use that to then get into the next note. So here he slides up to the 5th fret and he's putting vibrato on every note. So we're going, comes in on the and of 3, so 1, 2, 3. So it's up to the end of the first full bar. So 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that phrase really finishes on beat 1 of the next bar, so it's 1. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And then 5th fret, and then then he does a slide down from around the 5th or 6th fret, and finishing on the 3rd fret or around that area, and then into the main riff. So if I just play the first couple of bars, it's going to go 1, 2, 3. Into the main riff there. And again, so 1, 2, 3. Now the riff starts, there's a little bit missing. Whether you want to play it exactly like that or whether you just want to play the main riff at this point is up to you. So it's going 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead of... So there's just a half beat missing on the and of 3. So you can either play, or you can play what he plays, which is... So I'll play it as he does, but you know, whether you want to add in that difference or whether you want to just keep it a bit simpler and just play the main riff, that's up to you. So, and then as I discussed earlier, when it loops around, he goes up to the 5th fret. So if I play what he's playing here, he goes 3, 4, 1. And whether you catch just one note there or the middle 2 strings, I don't think it matters too much. He's playing mainly that just single note. So I'll do that again. So 3, 4. At the end of that, that last downstroke is the first beat of the 2/4 bar. So you'll see there's open strings there before we go into the melody. So I'll just play that part and go into the melody. This is where it gets tricky. At the end of every repeat of the riff, there are just 2 beats, which is where the vocals start to come in, and then it goes into, you know, the rest of that vocal line. So it makes perfect sense when he's singing, and if you're going to sing it or you're playing with a singer, that's great. But if you're just practicing the guitar part like I am, you've got to be careful of that, and you've got to count those beats just to make it all fit together. Otherwise, when you do play with a singer, you're going to be missing out bits and get in the wrong place. So I'll just go from the end of the intro into that 2/4 bar. So it goes 1, I'm going to come in on beat 2, so 1. So I'm going 1, so I'll do it very slowly. So 3, 4, 1. 2. Do that again. So 3, 4, 1. 2. So that's something to count through very carefully. The count, when you hit that open chord there, that's on beat 1, and then you're going to count beat 2, and then you come in on the and. So I'll do it one last time. So 3, 4, 1. 2. What I'm going to do here is then the first main riff, which goes into the second vocal line. And what we do here is when we get into the 2/4 bar, we're going to go 1 and 2, and then go into the melody part. So we're going to go 3, 4, 1. 1 and 2. So 3, 4, 1. 1 and 2. 3, 4, 1. Each time we're adding 1 and 2 at the end, so. And then the melody comes in on the and. So I'll do that, the main riff, the 2/4 bar, and then into the melody. So 3, 4, 1. 3, 4, 1. So it's counting that little gap is tricky. As I say, if you're doing it vocally, then the vocals are just on each beat, on beat 1 and on beat 2, so it's quite easy to keep your place, or if you're playing with someone else. And you're just kind of marking time with those open strings. Whether you do the slight variations that he does, where sometimes he just plays on beat 1, sometimes he plays on 1 and then 2, sometimes he just plays 1 and that doesn't matter so much. I don't think. It's just making sure that you know, mark out those 2 beats. The last time before we go into the 5-chord part, it does the same thing. There's a 2/4 bar, so but this time it's just going 1 and. So 3, 4, 1, 2. So basically you can count beat 2 in the gap there, and then you're into the 5 chord. So 3, 4, 1, 2. So I'd say that's probably the trickiest part, is just getting that 2/4 bar down. So I think I'd start with the main riff, get that under your fingers. Get that flowing. Then look at the variation on the intro where you're going up to that 5th fret. So you're doing that. Get that under your fingers. Look at the melody parts, work on those separately. Look at that first intro part, that whole section. And it's a case of just putting it together. You know, I've written out the first verse, we're working on that. But I think, you know, there's slight variations throughout the tune. You can work on those as well. You know, once you've got this main part in, then, you know, it's easy to kind of go back and look at that. So I'm going to walk you through this slowly. I'm going to try and count for you where I can, just so you can see how it all fits together, and potentially so you can play along with me. So it comes in on the and of 3. So 1, 2, 3. Take your time with this, piece it together. As I said, it's not quite as simple as it looks, but it's a ton of fun to play. Really great song. Enjoy. So if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment below, subscribe. All of these things really help and just means I can keep creating more content. Happy sliding.